Hey everybody, it's James here giving you a demo of the Razely integration for Salesforce. So to use the Razely integration, you can go to App Exchange and install MoveData. Alternatively, what most customers will do is get in touch with us via the website. So you can schedule a demo, we'll organize a one-on-one session with you to answer all of your questions, talk through the typical process to set things up, and take things from there. But um, once MoveData is installed into Salesforce, there'll be some prompts to set up your Razely integration. And basically, what you'll need to do is get your API key out of Razely, so this one, and paste it into MoveData, which will allow us to connect to your Razely account. And then once that's done, MoveData will issue a URL, which you can paste into Razely under webhooks and some certain events to subscribe to. And basically, what this does is every time an action occurs inside Razely, like a donation is made or maybe a fundraising page gets created or updated, that information is going to be pushed from Razely into MoveData and in turn into Salesforce. So what we can do is we've just got a testing campaign here. There's a fundraiser called Susie Jacobs, and I'm going to make a $100 donation to their page just to show you how this works. So if I click next, I'll put in a name, an email. You might collect, a raft of different information on your donation forms or on your sign-up forms. And this can all be supported by the integration. So we'll click next. And then we'll make our donation. This is obviously in test mode. So it's netting $100 covering the fee, so $105 transaction. And in this instance, we're donating to a fundraising page. Obviously, there are other scenarios like appeals, regular giving, ticket sales, offline donations, all these kinds of things, all the custom fields you can configure in Razely, and the integration supports it all. So that donation's gone through. That's going to fire off this donation succeeded webhook. And then this is in Salesforce. This is the MoveData app. And I can click refresh on my list of notifications to see what has happened. So you can see here donation succeeded with a status of success. If we open that up, we can review the resulting records. So without getting into too much technical detail, basically you've got a contact for the donor, which gets created, the $100 donation, which is an opportunity record in Salesforce. You've got a couple of campaigns. You've got the parent campaign, which in this example is just called MoveData campaign in Razely. And you've got the fundraising page, Susie Jacobs, which also comes through as a campaign underneath. And you've obviously also got the Susie Jacobs contact, who's the person behind that fundraising page. So if we step through each of these records, and I'd say these are the core records, there's other things which get created as well, which are beyond the scope of this video, campaign members, GAU allocations, all these kinds of things, which are quite common, payment records and whatnot. This is an example of our contact record. So basically all of the core fields from Razely are mapped across by default. So you've got a first name of Timmy, a last name of Tester. We've got an email of the one that we entered in. We've got a phone number, which came through from Razely. We've got our address. And most organizations, they will customize Salesforce, either with custom fields, custom objects, custom business logic, this kind of thing. And the integration can support it all. So maybe you've got a custom field in Salesforce that says is regular giver, and you want the integration to set is regular giver to true if the person has made a regular gift in Razely. That can all be supported. So think of this as a baseline, which should hopefully get you to 95% of the way there. And then typically we'll review and do any fine tuning to support your custom fields or business logic. But for the most part, this is a contact record. The fundraiser contact works exactly the same way. How we match against contacts who already exist in your Salesforce account is done by two ways. Firstly, this contact will have a unique ID inside Razely. That unique ID is saved against their record, and if we encounter it again, we'll determine a match. For the most part, though, people who are assessing MoveData, they won't have the Razely IDs in their Salesforce account. So what we do is we run the Salesforce duplicate rules. So most people configure a rule such as first name, last name, and email, which is kind of the lowest common denominator for the information coming through from Raisley. So we'll let the Salesforce duplicate rules detect if there's a match. Is there a Tim or a Timmy if it's a fuzzy match? Is there a surname of tester? Is there an email address of the one supplied? And if so, we'll use that contact and assign the donation to them rather than creating a duplicate contact. If I click on related, you can see we've got this opportunity here. So this represents the $100 donation. You can see on the right-hand side, we've got contact roles. So Timmy, the donor, gets the donor role, and Susie, the fundraiser, gets the soft credit. Most of this information in front of you should be somewhat self-explanatory. Here's the contact who made the donation. The campaign, which we'll come to in a minute, Susie Jacobs is listed as the primary campaign source. The stage is closed won. If it was refunded, it would change to closed lost. Here's your Raisley receipt number. It was done through Stripe. Here's the Stripe ID, the Raisley PDF, the information the person wrote in when they were making their donation. So all of this information comes through. Also fee information. So what was the platform fee? What was the tax component? What was the Stripe fee? What was the tax component? This kind of thing. So basically all of this information and anything else in Raisley that you might want to come across through to Salesforce automatically builds onto the opportunity record. If I click into the campaign now, this basically represents Susie Jacobs, the fundraising page, which we made the donation to. And you can see, it's got a contact behind it. It's got the URL of the page. Here's the description, which is just placeholder text, which was written in. You can see they've got a fundraising target of $350. And then this is Salesforce sort of adding up the donations made to that fundraising page. The other thing to show you is that Susie is parented by MoveData campaign. And if we click into the campaign hierarchy, so obviously you'll have a number of, in a community fundraising or peer-to-peer event, you'll have a number of, fundraisers within the campaign. And you can see how they're all sort of listed here. So you've got Susie Jacobs, $100 donated to, and then that's rolling up, in this case, the money that fundraisers have received have rolled up to the team. And then all this in turn is rolling up to the MoveData campaign. So you can report at the campaign, the team, and the fundraiser level. Equally, another interesting thing to show you at this top level is the campaign members. So we can see that Timmy, in the context of this campaign, is a donor, whereas Susie is a fundraiser. So you can start, easily segmenting different contacts from one another in the context of this campaign. So you'll likely want to communicate to Susie as a fundraiser in a very different way than that you might want to communicate to Timmy as a donor. Again, leaving a lot of the other stuff out. These are certainly the core records MoveData produces, but you've obviously got recurring donations in NPSP for regular gifts and a lot of sort of other ancillary records that sort of work through with this. Last thing to show you is great. MoveData, you can turn it on, it works out of the box, should get you 95% of the way there. How do we close the gap on any custom fields, custom objects, custom business logic, which sits inside Salesforce? Without going into a whole lot of detail, the answer to that is that MoveData has a very tight coupling with Salesforce flows. So again, not providing all of the context, but you can see that there's a decision here for the Salesforce administrators that are familiar with Flow. Basically, is the processor Stripe or is the processor PayPal? This is something that will come through in the Raisley payloads when that donation or whatever it is pushes through. And you can see that if it's Stripe, cool, I want to set this custom field gateway to Stripe. If it's PayPal, cool, I want to set this custom field gateway to PayPal. And in that manner, for any of your custom fields, custom business logic, this kind of thing, you can see that a value of Stripe is being set on that gateway field. So that's how the customization is implemented for you. It's done through Salesforce Flows, which is quite easy to develop and quite easy to maintain. It can be done by us, your Salesforce partner, or your Salesforce administrator. So thanks for watching. That's a quick tour of the Raisley integration.